Okay, anyway. So we're in the middle of a sugya. An Eid Echad is by Yevamot. Okay, an Eid Echad, Rabbi Sheish had a shaila, an Eid Echad believed by Yevamot. She testifies that the woman's husband died, and now she's marrying her brother-in-law, right? Now she's marrying her brother-in-law. What's the tzaddim to the shaila? Is an Eid Echad believed? So just like he's believed by that she can mace baila, he's believed that her husband died, she can marry the brother-in-law. Well, the reason is because isha daiku mitzvah, and since if she marries her if she doesn't check it out well, right? If she doesn't check it out well, the whole kitchen sink is going to come down upon her. All the 16 different things. She loses the ksuba, Charles Mamzerim. No woman wants to be into that. So therefore, it's not the Eid Echad that's facilitating her ability to remarry. It's him giving the impetus for her to check it out. Now, maybe she loves her brother-in-law, she won't check it out so much. And that's the side you won't be believed. So if Sheshis wanted to say from our Mishnah, we have a raya that you are believed. What's the case? That a man goes ahead and he goes overseas with her son. Eidim come and say that her son died first, and then her husband died. She consequently marries her brother-in-law. She consequently marries her brother-in-law, because after all, if the son died first, then the husband died, she falls to Yibam, right? She was left in the world without. And then they come back and says, no, it's not true. So we said that the child's a mamza. Teitzi said the child's a mamza. What was exactly the case? Who came? If two people came and said that the child died first, and then two people came and said, no, your husband died first, Mehecha Teisa, that you should believe one of the other. You're saying Teitze, this is a Vadai mamza? This is first of all, why does she have to leave? What Mehecha Teisa, you believe the second pair more than the first pair? And straightens, how can you say the child is Vadai mamza? The child at best is a suffix mamza. Maybe in fact, what the child did, the son died first, and she does fall to Yibam. So therefore, we said it must be the case of speaking where 1/8 came. 1/8 came and said that your child died first, and therefore you fall to Yibam. And then two people said, no, your child didn't die first, the husband died first, and you can't marry your brother-in-law. So in that case, the reason why the child's a mamzer is because she has two Eidim are being makish to 1/8. Masha Enkain, if there weren't two Eidim to be makish to deny the first 8, he'd be believed. So from the infants, we can figure out that the Eid Echad is believed to go ahead and allow her to remarry. The reason why you got the problems is two said no, that your husband died first. But if two people didn't come along and 1/8 said that your child died first and that you're falling to Yibum, he would be believed. And that was the raya. That's one way to look at the Shaila. Ikadiyami, there was another way to look at the Shaila. Let's see the Ikadiyami again. We're going to be on Sadik Gimel Amid Beis. Sadik Gimel Amid Beis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines from the bottom. The Ikadiyami, Halati Boilach. There's not a Shaila that an Eid Echad is believed for her to remarry a brother-in-law. You know why? Because she herself is believed. She'd also be believed. A woman says, my husband died. Tina say she can remarry. Meis Baili Tisyabing. My husband died and I have no children. She could do Yibam. So if she's believed, so certainly an Eid Echad is believed. Is she believed to marry that my husband died and she falls to Yibam? If she's believed, then certainly an Eid Echad will be believed. So therefore, the Shaila that we went ahead and just spoke out is not a Shaila. Kiti Boilach, when was the Shaila? Lemishri Yevamot Alma. Stamazoy an Eid Echad to go ahead and permit a regular case of Yimud. Can an Eid Echad mata a woman to the shuk? Can an Eid Echad mata a woman to the shuk and say that what? She doesn't fall to Yibum. To matter a Yavama. Not to say that you could do Yibum, to matter a Yavama. To go ahead and say she's free without Yibum. That's the Shaila. Now, what's the studim of the Shaila? What's the sides of the Shaila? My time of day, Eid Echad mishum de milsa David legluye, le mishaker. What's the reason Eid Echad is believed? Because something that can go ahead and be discerned at a later date, you're not going to lie. You're going to say that the husband is dead and she falls to and there's brothers are dead, there's no one there, or that the husband died first and there was a son. That's something that's subject to verification. And therefore, no Eid Echad is going to leave himself in a situation where they'll be disproved at a later point. Therefore, who are then? You'd be believed to go ahead and say, you know what? The son died, the husband died first, and therefore there's no yibum because the son died afterwards because there was a child alive at the time of the death of the husband, and she doesn't fall to the yavam. you'll be believed. That's one side to the shaila. She'll check it out. You'll check it out. For her, in the case of Yavam, why she won't check it out? She'll remarry without checking it out to the Shvit. Right? Why? The Misana who in Sanulay, she hates him. She hates her brother-in-law. And there's no way in the world she wants to be married to a brother-in-law. In other words, there's a Tzaddim, she loves her brother-in-law. Since that exists, we spoke out the other day that since that possibility exists, maybe she won't be Medayik, and therefore that's the Shaila. And now Rav Sheshis is going to answer this Shaila the same way he went ahead and answered the first Shaila. You could be Medayik from our Mishnah that an Eid Echad would be believed to Mata Yevamot. Where do we see that? Says the Gemara. Tzadik Dalit Amid Aleph, top line. Amru Rav Sheshis Tinisua. Amrullah two Eidim. Well, we're going to assume that two Eidim, maybe. Amrullah may spy left. They tell you your husband died. Vakach may spinech, and then your son died. So therefore, what? You don't fall to Yibum. Vinisis, and then she gets married. V'yakach Amrullah. They come and say no chilafayu devarim. That what? That your child died first, and you what? And you should fall to Yibum. Teitzei. This is Rabbi Kiva who says that what Yivam L'shuk is a mamsa. That in types. So Hekidami, if you're going to say it's two people said that the son died first, two people said that the husband died first. My chassid is some chahani. Maybe what she does fall to Yivam. Void mamsa, suffix mamsa. It's not a vaday mamsa. It's a suffix mamsa. The chitev loydok. You're going to say that what? No, we weren't some medayik. I mean, suffix mamsa. You can't say that. I mean, Tani say for the last case of the Mishnah. The case over there was what? They told you your husband died. She remarried. Comes along another egg and says, no, in fact, wait and say your husband was alive when you married, but now he's dead. So the child that's born when he was alive is a mamza. The child that's born afterwards is not a mamza. So therefore, the safe of the Mishnah is speaking about a vaday mamza. So for it to be consistent in the Mishnah, it must be also the first case is speaking about a vaday mamza. So you can't say loy dok and it's speaking about a suffix mamza. It's mamish speaking about vada mamza. Shmami, no, the Dafka Ketani, Dafka was speaking about a mamza. Ela lav, what's the case where it's a vaday mamza? Lav chad, right? It's one person who said that your husband died first, and therefore you're not subject to Yibam. No, that your son died first, and therefore you're subject to Yibam. But time of the Asi Beitrei. And came along too and Achusha and said that what? No, you weren't subject to Yibam, and you're living in sin with your brother-in-law. Eishes ach, shlei b'makom mitzvah. There's a chiyuv karis. The child will be a vaday mamza. Halav hachi. If not for the two people coming along, mehimim they'd be believed. So l'chayr the same raya. The Gemara says oil v'trei, and a different teretz. Uchadam Rav Acha bar Menyumi be'edei hazama. Where Rav Acha bar Menyumi says his din in Masechta Kedushin, whatever it's discussing over there. And Hachanami be'edei hazama. We're speaking about edei hazama. They never said that who died. They said Imanu Yisem. How could you have testified that the son died first when you were with us? The chiddush of Eidim Zoymim is you do believe the second over the first pair, and the mela therefore what you have no right to remarry, and therefore all the problems. But you have no raya to the shaila way that the Eid Echa would be permitted to matter Yavam L'shuk. Let's try again. Amalei Rav Mordechai Ravashi said Rav Mordechai to Ravashi. Ve'imi lo Rav Acha Ravashi. Other say it was Rav Acha to Ravashi. Toshma ein ha'isha ne'menes leimar meis Yavami sheinasei. A woman is not believed to say, my Yavam died, that I should be able to remarry. She's believed to say her husband died. She's not believed to say that her Yavam died. Nor is she believed to say my sister died, right? That I should be able to go ahead and marry her husband. Again, an Isha, Achas Isha is only Bechayeha, so therefore she's not believed. She's believed to say her husband died. She's not believed to say her Yavam died, nor is she believed to say that her sister died. He nihu daloi mehimna. She's not believed. Ha eid echad mehimna. But let's be medayik that an echad would be believed. So an echad would be believed to say my yavam died to permit to the shuk. Again, what's the shaila? We want to get her out of yibum. So therefore, she's not believed to get her out of yibum. But what? But an eid echad She's not believed, but an echad would be believed. And that's the shaila at hand. Can an echad be believed to matter Yevamah l'shok? Ul'kaimech, ema seifa, the seifa of that brisa, eina ish ne'eman loimer meis bailech. A woman is not believed to say, a man is not believed to say, my brother died, so I can marry my sister-in-law. Nor is he believed to say, my wife died, so I can marry her sister. Again, these are two aroyas of heta, right? Eishes ach and achas isha. Eishes ach is what if you die without children, and achas isha if the his sister is alive. So a man is not believed in that situation. We said a woman's not believed to say that, and a man's not. A woman's not believed to say that that my Yavam is a dead, and a woman's not believed to say my sister's dead in order to go ahead and be free, or in order to go ahead and marry a husband. Neither is a man believed to say that that my brother is dead, so I can marry his wife, nor is my sister is my wife dead that I can marry the sister. Who near the loy mehimnin? You can make the diak. He's not believed. Now, guys, as we know, this parak is predicated upon one thing. What's the yisoid? Isha daika uminsava. He's never believed, right? Forget about him. He's a he. He's a nothing. You need two aidin. Ein dav shavera pachas mishnayim. You have a chazaka beishasish. We spoke all of that. Certainly, the whole motivation and impetus and structure of this parak Isha Rabbah is predicated upon Isha Daiko Minsava. Since we're so machmer on the end that she's going to get mamish the kitchen sink, mamzayrim and no money and tetzim his head and getting all this problem, she's going to check it out. Him, he's not believed. So if you can't make the diak in the sefer, you can make the diak in the reish either. Says the Gemara, Bishleim agabe Isha, Bishleim agabe Isha. There's an emonis. You know why? Mishum iguna akil barabana, because the iguna the rabbanu will make it. Elagabe ish ma'ikal amema. What are you going to say? There's no reason to believe him. Ella, so what? Just like you won't be medayik in the sefer, eid echad will be believed. Don't be medayik in the reisha that she's not believed, but an echad would be believed. Ella, what? There's no chiddush here whatsoever. There's no inference here whatsoever. Here's the chiddush. Ki itzrich. I need I don't know if it's a Bryce or a Mishnah, I didn't look it up. Right? I need it for itself. I need it for itself. It's a Mishnah. I need it for itself. I need Rabbi Kiva's chiddush for itself. What's Rabbi Kiva's chiddush? That a woman's not believed to say that the Yavam died and not believed to say that the sister died. Right. Rabbi Kiva says that what? There's mamza of chayve lavim. So ema chayesh al kilkula yechayesh v'daika and kamash malon that what? Maybe she hates her husband, maybe hates her brother-in-law, and she won't be medayik. Let's see Rashi on this, guys. Ella, the 4 lines down where it gets thin. Ella loy teidik mina. Don't be medayik. She's not believed to say her brother-in-law died to free her to the street. Her sister died to marry her husband. Because the he gufa. I need to tell me that itself that she's not believed. In other words, there's a svara to say, guys, look at me. There's a svara to say she's believed that you need to tell me she's not believed, but not to make a diak that what an eid echad's believed. There's no diak over here. There's the innate chiddush that she's not believed, because there's a svara to say right. There's a svara to say that she is believed. Well, what's the svara? That she's not believed. And I need to let Rabbi Akiva. The Salkadai Chamin and Hoyle from Rabbi Akiva. Yesh Mamzami Yavam Lishuk. Rabbi Akiva says there's a Mamzeris by Yavam Lishuk. So Chayesh al Kilkula. And therefore she's Chayesh. If she's going to say my Yavam is dead, and she goes to the street and she finds that afterwards he's not, the Chiyamr makes Yavam Itinase. That what it's going to create problems with Mamzeris, Kamash Malon, to learn the hymna, Mishum the Zimna, the Sanyule, and she hates him. Right? Guys like this. She comes along and says the following: my Yavam is dead. Good. Someone lives with her after that. The Yavam shows up. Like Rebbe Akiva, there's no difference between that Chayve Lavim and every Chayve Krisus and Isis Besdin. The child from that union is going to be a mamzer. So in that case, I would say maybe she's believed. You know why? Daiko Minsava. Kemash Malon, the svara that she hates her brother-in-law so much, she won't be medayik, forget about him, and that's the chiddush. But not to make the diak that echad's believe. There's no diak here whatsoever. The din is the din itself. Very geshmak. Rava Amar, Rava says, Eid echad neman b'yivama mikal v'chaymer. And Eid echad is neman by Yevamot from mikal v'chaymer. Why? What's the kal v'chaymer? L'issa koris etarta, l'issa lavle kol shekain. We believe that echad matter is the chorus. The matter it's really chiv misas bezdin. The matter neishes ish. One eid echad is kimatter neishes ish. Certainly kimatter a yavam l'shuk, which is a lav. Again, we hold it's a lav, and we hold you're not chayiv. Only Rabbi Kiva is the das yachid who says ein kudish and toifsim. So if the echad is belief for the more severe issue of chorus, certainly his belief for the more lenient of a lav. 1 second. That's an eid echad. He atzma tochiach. She'll disprove you. The l'issa koris yitarta, l'issa lav, lo yitarta. If a woman comes along and says meis baili, she is believed. Guys, look at the Amid base that we just did. 4 lines up. Did nan a mishnah later on? Chayisha shomra meis baili, a woman that says my husband died. Tinase, she can be married. So is the woman believed to say her husband died? Do you see it with your own eyeballs? Right there, it is in front of you. Right in front of you. Now, just go up what we just said before. She's not believed to say Meis Yevami. So Madach, in other words, we're disproving Rabbi's Kal V'Chomer from the woman. What's a Kal V'Chomer? If an Eid Echad is believed by an Isha, certainly should be believed by what? By a Lav. By an Eishes Ish, certainly should be a Lav. Says the Gemara, what are you talking about? The woman herself is believed by the more severe, and she's not believed by the more lenient. In front of you, right? You saw it. The woman is believed what? The woman is believed that what? That the husband died, but she's not believed to say that my yavam died. Right? We have double Benji over here. Okay, so now the Elai my time himna. So why is she not believed? My time himna. The kivin the zin in the sanyale. Since sometimes she hates the yavam, mitzvah. The kivin the zin in the sanyale mitzvah. In other words, the Rav is din. The Kal V'Chomer is a slug up. Why is it slugged up? Because there's a svara to say she won't be medayik by the yavam. By where her husband dies, she wants to remarry, and she knows the kitchen sink's going to come upon her, right? She's not going to be medayik. She's going to be medayik like crazy. Masha'en came by Yevamot, where Tate say, and it's not even a mamzer because we don't pass like Rabbi Akiva, right? And she hates her brother-in-law, she won't be medayik so much. So therefore, she's not believed. For who would din eid echad would not be believed. And even though the Gemara seems to conclude that there seems to be a halacha that eid echad is believed by Yevamot, like Rava said. And even though he shlugged up his Kal V'Chomer, and in Svara the eid echad should not be believed, the same way she's not believed in Svara, meaning she won't be medayik because she hates her brother-in-law. So to eid echad tells her the brother-in-law is dead, she'll say Baruch Shepatrani, and she'll go ahead and get married. Kamash Malon that we do believe the eid echad in according to halacha.
And we're posking that she's not the baby would not be a mamzer?
The baby, what? The baby's never a mamzer from Chayv Elavim. From Yevamot l'shuk, the baby's not.
Only Chayv Elavim. It's not not an Eishes Ish like I.
Now the last din of the Mishnah, the last din of the Mishnah. Okay, the Mishnah is look at the list. Tzadik Beis Amud Aleph. Rabbi okay, now. She accepted Kedushin. So she didn't have Nisuin. She never lived with the person, but it was Kedushin. Then he shows up. So Einechet says that what? That your husband died. She's Medayik. Obviously, she didn't do a great job because she accepted Kedushin from another man, but they never lived together. Muteres, she can go ahead and return to her husband. Since she never lived in sin with the second man, she's mutter to her husband. And even if the second husband gives her a get, it's not going to pass her from the kahuna because she was never married to the second guy, and therefore she's not a gerusha. As Zu Dorish Rebbe Elazar ben Masya, he made the following drasha: the isha gerusha me isha, and a woman who is divorced from her man, isha, and not from a man who is not her husband. And since this man is not a husband, what she take him back. Okay, the Gemara is going to say he could have said a bigger chiddush. Says the Gemara. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. He could have darshan a marganisa, a jewel, a pearl, and he limited it to a chaspa. In other words, to say that the woman could go take them back is not such a chiddush, right? Because they were never married. But my marganisa, what's the marganisa he could have darshan? The Tanya. Isha garusha me isha, and a woman who is divorced from her husband, afil and iskarsha ela me isha, even if she's only divorced from her husband, Pesula lekahuna. Let's say a guy gives a get to his wife. This is your get, right? This is your get. Almanas, that what? You are megareshes from me, and you're not mutter to anybody else. In other words, you're not my wife, but you can't marry anybody else. So as we'll see in Masechta Gittin, that's not a good get, because the get has to be safer creases. It has to be koras. It has to cut the relationship. Since she's still bound to him through this tanai in the get, it's not a good get. However, right, she will be pasal kahuna, because this is what we call a shmek fun get. This is a reach haget. The isha gerusha me isha, guys. Even if she's only divorced from her husband, what did the husband say? You're divorced from me, but you're not permitted to anybody else. So even if you're only divorced from me, not permitted to anybody else, he could have darshan. That would have been a bigger chiddush than saying that you don't need to get from the second husband. Says the Gemara. Okay, same inyan, same idea, and we'll see. Misha holchu ishtay lemedina sayam goes overseas. Bo v'amruloi mesa ishtach. They come to say your husband died. Okay, they said your husband died. V'nasa esachaysa, and consequently he marries her sister. He marries his wife's sister, which is permitted since what? His wife died. Again, this is not a case where he went overseas, she went overseas. And now they're coming and saying, an Eid Echad saying she died. Well, obviously it can't be an Eid Echad, it must be two, right? Saying that died. And then comes along what? His original wife. Muteres lachsaloi. He's permitted to go ahead what? And take her back. In other words, he lived with her sister. Then his wife showed up. He's permitted to go ahead and muteres lo is right. He's permitted to go ahead and take her back. In other words, no one did any isser over here. I mean, he did an isser with the sister, but vis-a-vis the wife wasn't with another man. It's not like when they told the woman that your husband died and she was with another man. They told him his wife died. The wife wasn't with another man. Therefore, he's able to take her. He's able to take, even though he did an act of isser with the sister, he's still able to take his wife back. In addition, right, mutu b'kroiva shnia, right, he'd be permitted to marry relatives. Ushni muteres b'kroiva, and shnias would be permitted his relatives. Because it's not an ereva, because there's no kedushin. The mesa rishona, and if the first wife dies, muta b'shnia, he'd be permitted with the second one, which is a huge chiddush, right? Because he'd live with her in sin. Amuloi mesa ishtoi v'nasas achaisa. If they tell him, right, your wife died, he marries the sister. V'achach amuloi kayemes haisa. Well, she was really alive. Mesa, and then she died. Havlad Rishoin Mamza, that's Chayve Karis. The child that's born when we're still married to the sister is Karis. And after one died, Vachrein Mamza. The Yevamot says, Kol shepoisel al yidei acherim, poisel al yidei atzmoi, Kol shein poisel al yidei acherim, and poisel al atzmoi. We're going to hold it from Rabbi Yossi. Rashi says, Mefarish b'Gemara. Okay, to understand the next piece of Gemara, I'm going to bring back an old friend. Guys, you missed this, huh? Okay, here's the case. Is Afagav the Azal Ishtoi V'Gisa Medina Sayyam. His wife and his brother-in-law are going overseas. Now, what's his wife and his brother-in-law? You have two sisters. He's married to one, and this is his brother-in-law. This is what? This is the husband of Achas Ishtoi. They go overseas, and what's the report? The report comes back that they're both dead. Is he permitted to marry her? Absolutely. That's his wife's sister. His sister's dead. She's no longer an Eishes Ish because his brother-in-law is dead, correct? So he's permitted to marry her. Good. Of course, what happens? They come along. So he married her, right? He married her. They come along, and lo and behold, they're both alive. They're both alive. So now, his wife is still permitted to him, even though his sister-in-law will be usher on her husband. She will be usher to him because she lived with him. Remember, guys, so look, over here, they were living together. Good? So meaning she had relations with her former brother-in-law. Now, lo and behold, they're still alive. She would be usher on the brother-in-law. He would be permitted to take his wife back. His wife can do an issa. So this is a huge chiddush, guys. Is that right? Even though this whole act is causing an issa to one, he would still be permitted. And that's Rabbi Yossi's. We're going to see on tomorrow's on days. We're going to see Rabbi Yossi's din. So, guys, you got the case? Everyone have the case? You all have the case? Good. One more time. You got it.
One more time.
One more time. You have two guys who married to two sisters. It's not a yibum situation whatsoever. Two guys are married to two sisters. No yibum over here. The wife of one and his brother-in-law, the husband of the sister, go overseas. They get a message that they're both dead. So here they are, they're dead. Now you have two people left, him and his wife's sister. Since his wife is dead, he can marry the sister. Since his wife is dead, he can marry the sister, and he does. So now everything would be great. However, lo and behold, we get the message that they're still alive. What's the halacha? His wife's sister is usher on her husband. His wife's sister is usher on her husband, but he will be permitted to take back his wife because nothing he did affected his wife. If what he did affected his brother-in-law because he lived with his brother-in-law's wife, his wife's sister, but he is permitted to take his wife back. Okay, and we'll see more of this on tomorrow's daf, but that's the case. Good. Let's see what we got now. The afal gav, even though the azal ishtay v'kisay l'medina sayam, the ahani nisuin the kamitzra eishes kisay, that the nisuin that he married to his sister-in-law, it's going to ask on his brother-in-law agisay afilohachi eishes kisay asira ishtay sharia. The wife of his brother-in-law, the one that he had relations with, will be usher to the brother-in-law, but his own wife will be mutter. We don't say mitoich shenesra eishes kisay agisay. We don't say since the wife of his brother-in-law is usher to the brother-in-law, ti asa ishtay alav, that his own wife should be usher on him. We don't say that. Lema masnisan like Rabbi Akiva. Okay, so guys, good. You got the picture. Very nice. Lema, let us say masnisan like Rabbi Akiva. Let us say our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Akiva. The Rabbi Akiva havili aches krushasai. This would be, guys, Rabbi Akiva is going to require a get from him to her. Rabbi Akiva is going to require him to give her a get. And if that's the case, this is aches gerushasai. So when I would permit him to be married to her, obviously it can't be Rabbi Akiva, because Rabbi Akiva is going to require him to give her a get because of this. And since he's going to require him to give her a get, therefore it's going to be Asarat Achos Gerusha, so the sister of his Gerusha, which Rabbi Akiva would hold is not permitted. Wait, okay. Guys, you with me so far? Are you good? You all with me? Hesh, you good? Baruch, you good?
Yeah.
Dov, you good? Okay, now, the Tanya. Anyone who marries an erva, ain't tzrichas himenu get. You don't need a get because kedushin is not typhus. Chutz, with the exception of me'eshes ish shenisis al pi bezdin. We had this earlier. An eshes ish that married al pi bezdin, you would require a get, right? We said eshes ish. She wasn't medayik, she gets a get. Rabbi Akiva moisif. Rabbi Akiva adds on af eshes ach. Even the case of eshes ach, the achas isha and achas isha, which is our Mishnah. Our Mishnah is a man is marrying to his sister-in-law because his wife went overseas. So let's say our Mishnah is not a kontra Rabbi Akiva. Our Mishnah is not a kontra Rabbi Akiva because in our Mishnah you're saying that you could remain married to the woman, to your wife, but it's achas krushasai, right? In our Mishnah you'd have to go ahead and give her a get. The kiva number Rabbi Akiva, boy, you get memela itztra aleha memela shibiyasa the havile achas krushasai. Okay, so this is not our Mishnah. This is a bigger chiddush of our Mishnah, but it's the same case. The bottom line is, in our Mishnah, if it turns out that this woman is still alive and he lived with her, he'd be able to take this wife back. That's our Mishnah. Forget the Gisai. In other words, our Mishnah is just without the brother-in-law. It's just him marrying her because thinking that she's dead, finding out she's alive. So the Havamin of the Gemara is that Rabbi Akiva would require him to give her a get. Achas isha. Now, if that's the case, she should be usher on him. She should be usher on him as achos gerusha so. Since he gave her a get, this is the sister of his gerusha, which is our Mishnah. And Rabbi Akiva obviously holds that achos gerusha so doesn't work, and therefore he can't be the Tana of our Mishnah. Therefore, he can't be the Tana of our Mishnah. That's what the Gemara is suggesting. We're going to see, however, that the case of achos gerusha so is not when they were married; it's when there was kedushin, not nesuin. Says the Gemara, V'lav itmar Allah, did we not go ahead and explain Rabbi Akiva the following way? Omer Rav Gidl, Omer Rav Chia bar Yosef, Omer Rav, Hai Eishes Ach Hechidami. This Eishes Ach, what's it speaking about? Kigoin, Shekidish, guys, be medayek, Shekidish Achiv Esa Isha. Not that there was Nesuin, but Kidish Achiv Es Isha, V'cholach L'Medinas Hayom, and he went overseas, V'shoma Shemes Achiv, he heard his brother died, he married what? He married his wife. That's the case of Eshesach. The Ami Inchi, you know what you have to give a get? Hach kama tanoi have. The first kedushin was subject to a tanai and kedushin, and the kedushin was what? Not a real kedushin. V'hai shapin nasav, and really was married to his sister, and then married to his wife, no problem. In other words, he married his brother's wife because his brother had stipulated a Tanai. Since there was never Nesuin, there was only Kedushin. The Tanai wasn't fulfilled. There never was Kedushin. Therefore, he had to marry her. To avoid that pitfall, give a get. Because that shows outright, you're giving a get, the Kedushin was chal. If there's a get, the Kedushin was chal. But only in the case of Nesuin. Next case. V'hai achas isha nami. The case of achas isha is not like you thought. It's the case of our Mishnah, where a woman goes overseas and they say she dies and a man marries a sister. That's not the case where he had physical relations with the sister. Then you would not need a get. When do you need a get? Hechidami, going shekidish es isha. He was mekadesh a woman. And then the woman went overseas. V'shama shemesa, and then he heard the woman died. He stood up and married the woman's sister. The Ami Inshi, people are going to say, Hach Kamaisa, the one that went overseas, Tanai Havile Biktushasel. There was Tanai in her Kedushin, right? Or Shapin Nasa, and he's marrying the sister not because the woman's dead, he's marrying the sister because the first Kedushin wasn't a Kedushin. So to avoid that, right? To avoid that, we say what? We say that you give a get. Nisuin, our Mishnah, which is speaking, there was Nisuin where the marriage was consummated. Would people say, there was a Tanai in the Subin and make the Bilas Nus? By Kedushin, when there's no Bia, they'll say there's the Tanai into Kedushin. Where there's an Asuin, no one's going to go ahead and say what? That there was a Bilas Nus. And therefore the get is unnecessary. And therefore Rabbi Akiva could be the Tana of our Mishnah. He would agree in our Mishnah. In the scenario where a woman goes overseas and she finds out she's dead and he marries the woman, the sister, that he will be able to take his wife back. Why? Because the sister would not require a get. Why wouldn't she require a get? Because he lived with her. He had relations with her. Once he had relations with her, we're not going to say tonight that make those relations a bilas nus. The case of Rabbi Akiva, where they didn't live together, and you worry about the pitfall to say there was a Tanai in the original Kedushin and they were never married. To avoid that, give a get to show that what? The Kedushin was a real Kedushin. Good? Okay, now, the next piece, we have to do a pasuk. And see, to do it the right way, I'm doing it the right way. Normally, I could fluff this over, but I'm not going to. Okay, let's get rid of this. Okay. The ish asher yikach es isha. Guys, you can see the pasuk, right? The ish asher yikach es isha, a man who takes a woman, the es ima and her mother, zimahi. This is zima. It's nus. Be'esh yisafu osoi v'es hen. In fire, you should burn him and them. Leisia zima b'soichachem. And you shouldn't have zimas nus among you. Now, this is a classic Torah Shebal Peh, guys. Why in the world would all three people have to be die? One of these women, he married Beheta, correct? When he married his wife, she was good. The problem was the mother-in-law, not him. The problem is the mother-in-law, not him. So it can't be that what? Speaking, they all three die, correct? This guys got that off the page. It can't be that he's dying, yes, but only one of the two women are dying. One of these women, he married Beheta. Good, there's no Shiloh when he's married Beheta. So therefore, let's take that off the board. So what is Pshat over here? Isaiv Eshen. Eshen could be Eshen. Hina in Aramaic is one. So therefore, Rabbi Shmuel says that he dies, the Eshen and one of them, the mother-in-law will also die. That's what Rabbi Shmuel darshans. I say he will die, the Eshina and the mother-in-law will die. Rabbi Kiva says that what? It's speaking about Eshen. It's speaking about what? The mother-in-law, and you had relations with, Eshen means two. You had relations with the mother's mother-in-law, Eim Chamaisai. So if you had relations with Eim Chamaisai, you're going to die. But you only had relations with one of them. So that's the no machloikis mashmois darshan kibinayu. According to Rava says a whole different pshat. Rava says, when are you going to go ahead and get streifa for the mother-in-law? Is when Eshen, when the Isha and the Ima are both in the world. When the Isha and Ima is in the world, then they'll get streifa for the mother-in-law. Where, however, one of them is dead, the woman dies, let's say the woman that you married, your wife is dead, then you will not get streifa because it's not Eshen, they're both not in the world. The Havmin of the Gemara, guys, is that if a man lives with his mother-in-law after his wife dies, just like he lives with his sister after his wife dies, it's okay. That's the Havmin of the Gemara. Again, it's mashmois darshan kibinayu. The Rosh is in both cases. It's speaking where they're dying only one. According to Rava, there's an afkamina and halacha. Like Rava, you would only get according to Rabbi Akiva, you would only get misa if they're both in the world. If one of them is not in the world, if the woman's not in the world, then you would get misa for the mother-in-law. So based on that, with that hakdama, now the Gemara will go geshmert. Okay, let's see the Gemara now. Says the Gemara. Amalei Rav Ashi Rav Kahana. Rabbi Akiva, if you're telling me this is like Rabbi Akiva, listening nami chamaisai. Learn what? If a man's with his mother-in-law, right? The Hashamin lei Rabbi Akiva, the ama chamaisai la'achamisa lav b'sreifa. Why don't you add that case where someone went overseas, a woman went overseas, and they told you that your wife died, and now you're with your mother-in-law. Like Rabbi Akiva, that should be like the same thing with his sister. We could have learned that in the Mishnah. Why do you limit to, you're telling me the Mishnah can be according to Rabbi Akiva, so you should learn Chamaiso as well? Because if your wife dies, you will not get streifa for your mother-in-law. How do you know this? The Tanya. In fire, you should burn him and them. Now again, them is only one of them. Why? Because you married the woman Beheta. Right? When they're both what? When they're both misa, chamaisai and aim chamaisai, then you can get misa, but only for one of them. Very good. So therefore, either way, you're going to get misa for your mother-in-law. So therefore, Rabbi Kiva cannot be added to the Mishnah. Like Rav that says nafkamina between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva and Darshnin Spasik is if your mother-in-law if your wife dies, whether your mother-in-law is with you or not, like Rabbi Shmuel not, like Rabbi Akiva yes, listening nami chamaisai, learn chamaisai. So learn the following case. Someone comes along and says your mother-in-law, your wife is dead. So you go marry your mother-in-law and then your wife shows up. Why can't you learn that case? So Amalei. So Rav Kana told Rav Ashi, good, Rava. The Torah is saying you won't get sreifa. Is the Torah saying that what? In fact, it's mutter? No one's saying it's mutter. Of course, your mother-in-law is asa. The whole shiloh is of whether you're going to get sreifa or not. And Rava said, if your wife is dead, you won't get sreifa on your mother-in-law, but she will remain asa to you. Okay, thanks everyone for listening.